Today on Commander Replay, we check out this Patreon-submitted Heliod Suncrowend deck and find out why mono white can be so frustrating to play. Next on Commander Replay. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. You guys are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. And be sure to use the TCG affiliate player link as it helps support the channel and it doesn't cost you anything. Welcome back, everyone. Playing some more Heliod Suncrowend today, and today's deck list comes to us from Patreon supporter Jared. I ended up keeping an opening hand that looks like this. We've got 2 lands. It's a little dicey, but we've got this Thaumatic Compass, so as long as we find a 3rd land, we can dig for a few extra lands. 36 lands in the deck, which is like maybe a little bit low for Magic Online these days. Magic Online has been not kind with drawing lands when you want to, so hopefully we don't get punished by that, but as long as we find a 3rd land, then we can activate the Thaumatic Compass, and life should be okay. I do like that we have the Pearl Medallion, we've got some removal, we've got a Leonin War Leader, so other than that, I thought the hand was pretty decent. But it brings it to our first turn, and we find that 3rd land that we're looking for. Does this come in tapped? Enters the battlefield, gain 1 life. No, it comes in untapped, that's cool. Okay, play a Plains. Sweet, so I'm feeling much better about things right now. So as I mentioned, we are playing Heliod Suncrowend. It is 2 and a white for 5/5 Indestructible, is not a creature if your devotion to white is less than 5. Whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature or enchantment you control, and pay 1 in white. Another target creature gains lifelink until end of turn. So Heliod, pretty cool. Gives you a really nice payoff for life gain decks. Today we're not running Walking Ballista or Triskelion. When Jared built the deck, they just felt like they didn't need the extra combo finish in there. So that's really a meta call, depending on what kind of meta you want to bring this deck into. But yeah, I'm excited to play this deck. I think Heliod's a really cool card. I've been having fun with it, even in the non-combo versions. I think it's just fun to play. So anyway, some stuff for our opponents. Soul Ring for the Kangee, and Sakura Tribe Elder sacrifices the Sakura Tribe Elder, gets the land. Anyway, it brings it back to our turn. We draw another land, play this Thaumatic Compass. I suppose we could have gone like Pearl Medallion first. Oh well. Let's take a look at what our opponents are playing. First up, we've got Chaotix piloting Glissa, Sunseeker. Rude. Glissa has the ability to tap and destroy target artifact if its converted mana cost is equal to the amount of unspent mana you have. Kind of an interesting wording, so like, actually I have no idea why they would do it like that. So in their case, they would float 2 mana, shoot our Thaumatic Compass, and then spend that 2 mana to do something. Kind of a weird way to go about it, but when you're playing a mono white deck, the last thing you want to see is repeatable artifact removal. So that's all a thing. Next up, we've got Mockfire piloting Kangee Airy Keeper. We've seen this deck a little bit before. Kangee, pretty cool bird commander. There's some question about whether the kicker ability works on Magic Online with Kangee. If it doesn't, it's actually like pretty big loss of power for the deck. That's kind of what makes it good. You can just dump a bunch of mana into Kangee and make all your birds huge, so it's a good way to close out a game. And then finally, we've got 5-color bad stuff piloting Horde of Notions. Don't know what they're up to exactly. It just looks like so far they're just ramping. So they lay down a Farhaven Elf, get themselves another basic. We find a Winds of Abandon. Yeah, that'll be helpful at some point. Right now, I think I'm just on Plains, activate Thaumatic Compass. And that'll set us up for lands for the next few turns. And feeling pretty good about that. We could have gone a little more aggressive and gone Pearl Medallion into Leonin War Leader, but yeah, this is where we are now, so. But the other thing we can do now, too, is if everyone just, like, coughs a bunch of things out, we could just set up the Fumigate and just, you know, go for an early board wipe. Especially since we have Dusk and Winds of Abandon in hand, we can be a little bit loose with the removal, I think. Ooh, Chaotix gonna Crushing Vines on the Soul Ring. Doesn't want any part of the Birds deck. Nice. Signet coming down for the Birds opponent. Yep, KO getting attacked for blowing up the Soul Ring. So 2 birds into Glissa. And opponent mills us for 1 with the Mind Shrieker. Hits a land. I think I'm actually okay with that. We've got 2 lands in hand. We could probably draw, like, not a land for a second. And I'm totally fine with that. Comes a Chromatic Lantern for the Horde of Notions. Plays another land. They've got some good ramp going. Flamekin Harbinger, so potentially actually on elementals. Ooh, gets a Risen Reef on top of their deck. Card's kind of wacky. Opponent plays Cloudkin Seer, enters the battlefield, draws a card, so the Risen Reef is now in their hand. Okay, so it looks like they're playing elementals. Farhaven into us, yep. Ooh, that's a Smothering Tithe. Oh, yeah. Risen Reef draws cards like crazy, doesn't it? If it's a land card... No, it's a look ability. It doesn't actually draw. Let's try it. Here comes Smothering Tithe. If we can get just a couple treasures off of it, I'm totally fine with that. And then I think I'm just going to set up for the Fumigate. Lightning Canyon for Chaotix, a card that I largely forget about and probably need to run a little bit more. Yep, just Chaotix gives us one treasure, shoots the Smothering Tithe, so Smothering Tithe down, that's unfortunate. Although, as good as Smothering Tithe is, I do very much like Smothering Tithe. I think I'd actually rather keep the Pearl Medallion right now. Over the course of a long game, Pearl Medallion can really do a lot for you. And doesn't attract nearly the attention that Smothering Tithe will, so now that Smothering Tithe's gone, it should be a non-issue, where Pearl Medallion just won't get us hated out of the game, but is probably somewhat similar in terms of effectiveness. Maybe not exactly the same, but pretty close. Definitely allows you to cast multiple spells in a turn, but it doesn't protect you against opponents drawing a million cards in the same way that Smothering Tithe can, but you guys get the idea. Bident the Thassa, well, there was a reason we wanted Smothering Tithe. So I think Chaotix is playing removal.deck, and Bird's just going to keep swinging into him. Yep. Well, if we're not getting attacked, I'm not, like, super incentivized to try and blow everything up. Bident of Thassa changes that equation. Bident of Thassa is in play, by the way. So opponent's going to draw 2 cards. It's a lot of card draw. Chaotix playing mono green control. Awesome. Trying to get this Thaumatic Compass flipped over before anything goes wrong is probably a good idea. Risen Reef into play. I mean, Risen Reef probably means Fumigate. Horde of Notions into play. Triggers the Risen Reef. Opponent spreading the damage around. Horde of Notions, the big one going into the Bird's opponent. We draw a Radiant Fountain. Enters battlefield, we gain 2 life. Could be interesting. Okay. Think I'm on... Get the Seraph Sanctuary. Oh, we gain a life. Should have played Heliod first, probably. Yep. Actually, no, I don't think it's going to matter. Play the Pearl Medallion. I think there's too much value on board. Risen Reef and the Bident of Thassa are a real issue for me. So, right here, I'm just going to play Fumigate. So, blow up all the creatures. We go up to 45. Maybe we could have gone for Heliod first, but... well, you only gain 1 counter off of that, but whatever. The value right there scares me, and we just needed to get rid of that stuff. Risen Reef, pretty crazy. Bident of Thassa with a couple birds. Will keep opponent's hand very full. Chaotix plays Rendering Vines. Destroy target artifact or enchantment if its converted mana cost is equal to the number of cards in your hand. I think he just... Oh, he shot a Chromatic Lantern, so Chromatic Lantern down. It's a little bit rough for the 5-color player. And then he plays a land and passes. You gotta be really diligent about the mana usage now with Horde of Notions. Rending Vines, huh? Augury Owl into play. Yep. Opponent's gonna scry 3. Favorable Winds for Kangee. Muldrotha into play. Gross. Ugh. Is Muldrotha worth a Dusk? I mean, it probably is. Tribelder back to play. Opponent just ramping like crazy over there. Brings it back to our turn. We draw a Plains. Let's get Heliod into play. Let's get Leonin Warleader into play. Then, do we get the Radiant Fountain right here? Yeah, seems like a good time for the Radiant Fountain. I think I'm just going to pump Heliod. I have a feeling that, like, creatures... I don't think creatures are going to be super durable in this game. So, yeah, we'll put the counter on Heliod. I've been burned by trying to pump my other creatures in the last few times I've had Heliod out, so... Heliod, much harder to interact with than anything else. Conclave Naturalists. Let's see what it's blowing up. Hopefully not anything of ours. I don't think we're the target. Bident of Thassa is pretty scary. Yeah, it goes for the Bident of Thassa. So Bident of Thassa down and passes like that. Light and Shadow. Yeah, that's a good one. That is a good one. See how long that Light and Shadow lasts. But still enough time to get a bird back. Equips the Light and Shadow. And get a swing into Chaotix. Yep. It hits. Opponent's going to gain some life and going to get back their Stormscape Familiar. Yeah, it's a good enabler. Might have to think about the Winds of Abandon pretty soon. With the 5-color deck, you have to wonder how many basics they actually have. They have 2 of each in play right now, and that's about what I normally run. Now, granted, I have like all the fetch lands and all the dual lands on Magic Online. In paper, I certainly don't. But, here comes that Risen Reef. Gross. A 5-color deck of Magic Online, if you have fetches and duels, running much more than 2 of each basic is pretty tough. They got a 3rd forest now. So, like, Winds of Abandon may not give them that many lands. Still give them some lands, which is, still very good. But Chromatic Lantern, coming back. Here comes, Multani. Multani is so hard to get rid of. I think it's Winds of Abandon time. We draw another Plains. Is Overloaded Winds of Abandon enough for... Yeah. I think Muldrotha and Multani warrant an Overloaded Winds of Abandon. Like, I think that's the thing that needs to happen. So, cast with Overload. I had actually hoped to activate Thaumatic Compass one more time before it flips over, but is what it is. Muldrotha and Multani just too strong. We could hold a land back, but I don't really want to do that either. Opponent's just ramped a bunch off of the thing. Yeah, no, opponent has a lot of basics in that 5-color deck, so they did get ramped more than I was hoping they would. We play a Plains, put lifelink on the Leonin War Leader, and I'm going to swing into the Elemental's opponent. They're showing that they're playing some pretty good cards, and I don't think that's going to be stopping anytime soon, so let's get in. And we get 3 triggers. We'll put them all on Heliod. And at the end step, our compass flips into the Spires, so we got that flipped over. Very nice. We also go up to 53 life from the lifelink, so that was pretty cool. Opponent's down to 34. Tireless Tracker, that's a good one. A lot of high leverage threats coming into play. We're running low on cards, too. We could use some card draw. Here comes Glissa into play. Fortunately, Light and Shadow is probably higher on their target list. They've shown that they also want to blow up the Chromatic Lantern, so hopefully that keeps our Pearl Medallion around for a little while. Here comes Stormscape Familiar, yep. And Empyrean Eagle, sure. Light and Shadow onto the Empyrean Eagle, sure. It's an Avenger of Zendikar. Oh my. Yep, just all the hits. 15 plant tokens. There's a landfall trigger. It's a fetch land. We need to get... Oh man, we need to get the plants above 3 power. Graveshifter. Changeling enters the battlefield. You may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Yep. Tribelder. They don't have... Doesn't look like they have green mana. No, Chromatic Lantern's back in play. Okay. They do have green mana. Yep, here comes Tribelder. Hopefully opponent does all this main phase and doesn't like wait to the end step. If they do, then we can play Dusk. Here comes the Tribelder. Nice. Cracks the Tribelder. Sweet. Alright. So we're gonna have to play Dusk on our turn. That's a thing that needs to happen. And they crack the fetch. Sure. The problem is now that, like, Horde of Notions plus mana is just good. And there's a Royal Scions. Opponent uses the plus mode on Royal Scions. Draws a card, then discards a card. We draw an Etched Oracle. That's card draw. Play the Plains. Do we have any safe attacks? Not really. How much mana do we have? This will be 3 to cast. And this will be 4 to cast. So we'll need 7 total. We have 8. Yeah, so let's cast the Etched Oracle. We're going to want to keep it on 2 power. Oh, I guess we could wipe first and then use the cats. Maybe that's the better call. Yeah, that seems fine, I think. We get 2 less tokens. We'd have 3 tokens if we wipe after. But we could at least attack the Royal Scions. Seems like it might be a good idea. Board wipe first or board wipe after? I think I'm going to board wipe first. The 1 token just doesn't feel like it matters that much. So all the creatures getting blowed up again. We've run out of removal at this point. Swing into the Royal Scions. Start ticking it down. And we're going to start using Heliod to put some counters on this Etched Oracle. Hopefully Chaotix doesn't shoot it, which he probably will. Yep, there it is, of course. Over the Light and Shadow. And now we're empty-handed. Awesome. We could Dawn to get the Etched Oracle back, and we may have to if we don't draw anything that matters. Here comes a Thran Dynamo. Opponent's going to get back their Bident of Thassa, puts it back on top of their library. Yep, everyone has slowed down a bunch, although Horde of Notions, I think they can probably recast and get the Avenger back all on this turn. They have a lot of mana. Opponent draws and discards. Yep. Really, that's a 3-mana Planeswalker that has 5 loyalty when it comes into play? That seems unbelievably pushed. Horde of Notions back. Yeah, they can reanimate 2 things. Opponent's going to get back their Flamekin Harbinger, find the elemental of their choosing, put it on top. They've already used their Planeswalker, I think, though. So maybe did that in the reverse order than what they wanted. So here comes Flamekin Harbinger. Deep analysis for opponent. Drawing the card. What'd they get? They got Omnath, Locus of the Royal. Ugh. Here comes Omnath. Yep. Start shooting stuff. Probably going to be our tokens. Yep, shoots a token. Plays a land. Landfall trigger. Gets a counter. Opponent plays land. Triggers the thing. Horde of Notions getting bigger. Viscera Seer. Only going to swing at us with the Horde of Notions. Make it an easy call to use Spires. So, Fog the Horde of Notions. That's a righteous cause. That's actually reasonable. And I think I'm going to flashback the Dawn, or use the Dawn half of Dawn to Dusk to get the Etched Oracle. Gives us something to do for next turn, and with the righteous cause, it should be okay. Hopefully we'll get a chance to draw some cards. So, Etched Oracle comes back to our hand. We'll look at that next turn. We'll take a little chip shot into the bird's opponent. We gain 1 life when the creature attacks. Yeah. Do we pump the token? I'll pump. I'm going to continue to pump Heliod. I know it's not a creature yet, but if it never becomes a creature, then, you know, we're probably not going to win this game anyway. So it hits. We gain a life. Another counter on Heliod. Chaotix is going to get to investigate at the beginning of his turn. Now has 2 clues in play. Can sacrifice the 3rd one to tutor a card out of his library. Yeah, it's pretty legit. Chaotix is gonna once in future. I don't even know what this does. Return target card from your graveyard to your hand, getting back Broken Bond and Tireless Tracker. If you spend at least 3 green mana on it, you put 2 cards from your graveyard back to your hand. If you don't spend 3 green mana, they go on top of your library. So here comes the Tireless Tracker. Bird's opponent passes through their first main. Ooh, plays an Hour of Revelation. Wow, that hurts. We're gonna lose some stuff. Mostly, well, I guess Righteous Cause, Pearl Medallion, but those are still valuable things. That's why I've been putting counters on Heliod the whole time. Biden Thassa back to play. Elemental's opponent, they've lost their creatures, but still, just they're gonna recast Horde of Notions and just keep getting this stuff back. This is where you really need a Winter Orb, and it's not in this deck, sadly. Yep, Horde of Notions back. Ability to reanimate 2 things. Horde of Notions, what's coming back? Flamekin Harbinger, looking for more stuff. Oh, gets a Revel Arc. Yep, graveyard removal needed. Any in the deck? Not seeing any offhand. Definitely need a Scavenger Grounds in this deck. Yeah, it looks like 0 graveyard removal. That's a problem. Avenger of Zendikar is back, and we're probably all going to die in the next turn. Means back to our turn, there's a Tectonic Edge, not what we're looking for. Play the Etched Oracle, watch it get shot by Chaotix, and proceed to do nothing. Primordial Sage for Chaotix. Plays a land. Gonna regrowth the Tamio's Journal, sure. Here comes an Aven Mind Sensor. Would have been nice if that was in play sooner, to stop all the tutoring from the Elemental's opponent. But what can you do? If opponent has, like, landfall stuff, we're probably just dead. We could have Tectonic Edge the Esper Panorama. That would have saved some damage. Well, we're at 57. It's going to take them a little while. I don't know how we win, though. Like, I don't think we can win without our opponents at this point. We don't have the Ballista in the deck, and this would be a situation where you want Ballista. Get back Graveshifter. Oh, yeah, that's pretty ridiculous. Get the Omnath. Yep. Here comes Omnath. 4 elementals in play. Shoots the Mind Sensor. Land comes in. Landfall trigger. Avenger of Zendikar triggers. Plant's getting larger. Also a Field of Ruin in play. Here comes Revel Arc. Evoked. Gets Viscera Seer and Farhaven Elf. Triggers Omnath and Avenger. And so, like, this is why I don't like value decks. People are like, it's just value. Yeah, value is incredibly strong. I fired off 3 board wipes this game. Chaotix has, shot numerous artifacts and enchantments, and, like, opponent is still just rolling. Like, it doesn't matter to them at all. So, when someone says they're playing a value deck, you should focus the bejesus out of them. Opponent's going to Field of Ruin our Compass. That's pretty annoying. Opponent still has another fetch in play. Omnath Avenger trigger. A Vesper Lark, yep. Sacrifice Vesper Lark, bring a thing back. Opponent sacks a Tribelder. Omnath Avenger. So each of the tokens are 4/4s. I haven't done the math, but I assume that's board lethal. There are 19 of those. Well, maybe not completely board lethal. We're at 57. It really will take a lot to bring us down. 2 big attacks over to the other 2 opponents. Assume that kills them unless someone fogs. I don't know if there's any way we can win. We can't deal with the amount of mana that they produce, because unless we exile their graveyard, and there's no graveyard exile in the deck, that makes it really, really difficult. We don't have any insta wins, and I think a lot of our premier removal is gone, so Yeah, I just don't think we really have a chance. We have Etherflux Reservoir. Etherflux Reservoir off the top would actually do it. Actually, this is a thing we can do. Nope, that wasn't going to work. I was going to put Lifelink on Chaotix Primordial, but that only gains a 4 life. He goes to negative 17. Does not help him at all. So both opponents going down. We need a big, big draw. Etherflux off the top would be pretty funny. It's not an Etherflux. It's a Parhelion. Parhelion does not help. Is there any way to draw with this Etched Oracle? This won't be able to attack this turn, so we won't be able to get the Angels. Doesn't give us enough. Yeah, we can just scoop right. Next card. Nope, land tax, not going to do it. Plains. Fairies, buys us a turn. Yeah, okay. So, this is what happens when you run a mono white deck versus a value deck. And this is why I hate value decks and will focus them unbelievably hard. Settle the Wreckage. Actually, we did have Settle the Wreckage left as a possible card in the deck. Didn't draw it, though, so doesn't matter. All right, this deck needs a couple things. One, I've already added some utility lands to the deck. Gaia Reach Sanitarium and Makokoro are a really big deal in mono white, especially when you have Smothering Tithe, because then you're getting the mana back, so really, really good. Also, you just need to draw cards. You can't always draw cards in white. Parhelion, I think, is just going to be too big and slow. It's a cool card, but I think you really need something like Aurelia, where you're attacking twice a turn and really getting a lot done with it. I think on its own for the 8 mana, it's just not where you want to be. But anyway, getting back to like where I really saw some weakness. Utility lands, definitely more utility lands. I've added a bunch. I've also added Strip Mine, Tectonic Edge, Windbrisk Heights, since this wants to be a token deck. That is another way to look at an additional card. Can be very, very helpful. But more important than anything else, well, the 2 draw lands, Gaia Reach and Makokoro, are very important. The next one is Scavenger Ground. There was no graveyard removal. If we could have removed the graveyard at one point, then it would have actually slowed down the Horde of Notions opponent. I would add a second piece of graveyard removal. Graveyards are incredibly powerful, so you need to be able to deal with them. Soul Guided Lantern is the new one that I really like because it doesn't hit your graveyard, and it's a 1-cost artifact, so I'm really big on that. Definitely going to add that in. Soul Guided Lantern would do way more for us than that Parhelion will. It's just going to take so long for Parhelion to be effective. So that was the big thing. Graveyard removal was the problem. I think more card draw in the deck too. How much removal's actually in this deck? We drew a lot of it. So Martial Crew is removal. Dust to Dawn is removal. Fumigate, Turn to Dust, Settle, Winds of Abandon, Path, Swords, Path and Swords, okay. Oh, and Heliod's Intervention, okay. So 10 pieces with Path and Swords. Honestly, I would go a little higher. I'm a 12 to 14 removal kind of guy now, especially if I'm playing mono white, because I know I can't win quickly. Like certain decks that can be very proactive, you don't need to run quite as much removal, but white doesn't win quickly. So the big thing I noticed was missing was Austere Command. I mean, Austere Command is probably the single best white board wipe, so that one definitely needs to come in. Winds of Abandon was tricky. We played it. Opponent had places to park that mana, and that will be a problem. That is a problem periodically. Maybe we could have not overloaded it and maybe just gone single target on Muldrotha, but I don't know. Like, Winds of Abandon is a tricky card. I've had mixed results with it. I'm not saying it's bad, but you do have to be careful. As much as it can take the game, it can also lose the game for you. So that's definitely a concern. What did I say? Oh, another thing we need land-wise. This deck definitely needs a Rogue's Passage. Because Heliod will get big hit points. That's just a thing that'll naturally happen if it stays in play. So you want some ability to make it unblockable. I might even add a Key to the City. You know what's interesting? Our devotion to white was not actually amazing at any point in this game. That raises some concerns about Nyx Lotus for me. I get it, there's upside there, but I might be more inclined to go Hedron Archive just for the card draw. I get that Etched Oracle could be good if like Chaotix wasn't played, destroy all of your artifacts every single turn .deck. You know, I get it, like it's a good option, especially for this deck, but like white still has card draw problems and it's super annoying. You know, it became very apparent in this game. Mentor of the Meek I honestly don't love that much. Here's a question. How many things in this deck can actually trigger Mentor of the Meek? Serra Ascendant if it's not big. Soul's Attendant, Soul Warden, that's 2.5. Dawn of Hope, but Dawn of Hope plus Mentor of the Meek is like, it's 5. 5 to draw a card. It's, Suture Priest, Auriok Champion. This is 4.5. 5. So there are 13 cards that can trigger Mentor of the Meek. That's better than I thought it would be. But 13 is not 20. Keep that in mind. So there will be times where you just can't trigger it. And it is also mana intense, which can be annoying. Trying to solve the card draw issue, it's not easy in white. You have Skull Clamp, and I actually like Skull Clamp a lot better. So what I personally would do to get more card draw is add like Steel Shaper's Gift, or Open the Armory, or Stoneforge Mystic, depending on your budget. Open the Armory, the cheapest of the 3, just to give myself another way to find the Skull Clamp, because Skull Clamp is like some of the best card draw that's available, especially in a creature deck like this. So, I'm more inclined to go that route. You could look at Mind's Eye. If I were going to run Mind's Eye in this deck, I would increase the number of board wipes and the removal a little bit. If you're playing a Mind's Eye is a slow card. You want to slow your opponents down if you're playing it. Other things to look at. Memory Jar is reasonable. It pairs nicely with Emeria Shepherd, which is already in the deck. You can get it back and do it again if you want. It can be a little bit slow in that typically you're probably going to pay 5 and then have to wait a turn to untap with it. In this game, I don't actually know if that would have worked, because I think Chaotix would have just shot it. But in general, it's a reasonable option, although it's a little bit pricey in paper. What else is there? Hedron Archive. Honestly, I think I'm on Hedron Archive over Nyx Lotus. I like that ability to draw late in the game. Again, Hedron Archive pairs well with the Emeria Shepherd. And believe it or not, another one too, Mind Stone's already in the deck. You've got Sun Titan. Commander Sphere with Sun Titan is another way to both ramp and draw cards. That's not terrible. You've already got some 3-cost Mana Rocks in the deck. You probably don't want to go too wild right there. I get the Talisman. The life gain is going to be good. Yeah, the Altar is going to be pretty good for this deck too. So I guess the question is, what do you take out? I also run a ton of mana ramp. So for my decks, I noticed the creature count's been getting low because I run a lot of ramp and a lot of removal, and cards have to get cut from somewhere. But anyway, we still need to cut a card. I don't know what we're cutting, but probably cut a 4-drop would be my guess. Cut maybe the least useful of these Planeswalkers. I'm not sure which one that is. I haven't tested all of these extensively, but yeah, we saw White's lack of ability to handle loads of value and the lack of ability to draw efficiently really came to bite us. The fact that we weren't running any graveyard removal did get us as well, so that's a thing that you'll want to do. You shouldn't cut a land, but I'm just going to cut a land to make the deck, not have the little symbol right there. Overall, I think the deck construction is pretty good. The fact that we didn't have graveyard removal and the fact that we couldn't keep up with someone just valuing like crazy, we didn't really get that card draw. Chaotix shot at one piece of card draw that, may have gotten us into something useful. And then an hour of Rev came down shortly after that. So, you know what I mean? With that stuff going on, bad things are just going to happen. It's sort of a bad feeling of saying, well, we just need to get less removal pointed at us because we can't deal with that. And I don't know. That's part of Mono White's issue, is that you don't have a good sorcery that when you cast a sorcery, the only way to interact with that sorcery is on the stack. When you have a Rishkar's expertise and you draw 6, 10, 12 cards, whatever, in a green deck, you just don't have that. And, I don't know. It's been really frustrating to me lately. I've been getting frustrated with Mono White because even when you build a really tight mono white deck, it's still just a struggle against someone that just wants to value and draw a lot of cards against a deck that probably isn't even that well tuned, and it's just gonna give you fits, and you'll be playing your butt off trying to make the best plays you can, and it still doesn't work out for you a lot of the time. It's just been frustrating to me. Anyway, all that being said, venting my mono white frustrations. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.